You know, sometimes if you just want to get away from all the crazy stuff that goes on, it's good to pick up a hobby of some sort. You gotta love installing operating systems on old computers. Hey everybody, today I'm going to be talking about Nintendo and why big multi-million-dollar corporations are not your friends. So, I haven't made gaming content or talked about video games in quite some time now, and there's a good reason for that. Quite frankly, I've just lost interest in a lot of modern, multi-million-dollar games on the next-gen consoles. In fact, I haven't even cared about the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. I've only been keeping up track with the scalper drama, because that shit's funny, honestly. But the thing with these consoles and modern gaming is that these companies aren't your friends, okay? And Nintendo, they are the worst offender. So Nintendo, basically, they're famous for one thing, and one thing alone. You know what that is? It's sending DMCAs and takedown requests towards their fans. You make a mod for a game, you're shut down. You make a game that is a fan game, shut down. You decide, I'm going to hold a tournament, and Nintendo doesn't exactly like it. Well, they'll just whip you into confirming by their very specific rules, like what happened when the tournament dropped Project M a few years ago. And that's why Project M got cancelled, because there were strong rumors Nintendo was sending DMCAs after the developers of it. So, the thing is with Nintendo loves doing this. And it doesn't matter if it's a lockdown. Nintendo is going to do it anyway. So, if you've been following world news lately, you already know about the lockdowns. Or even just where I live. There aren't lockdowns. You can still go to any store you want. The non-essential businesses are back open, but they've got like barriers up in place. They've got mask mandates that the city requires, and even before that, every store was requiring you to wear a mask. So while people in America are flipping out about masks, you've got overseas where it's even better because you can't go to a lot of businesses now because they're non-essential. So they're closed, and a lot of things that are open in America are considered closed. And of course, then you've got gaming events. They're all canceled. I mean, lots of conventions in general are all canceled or moving virtually. And you're seeing some fun meltdowns in at least the furry fandom, with furries trying to rat each other out and see each other for going to furry meetups, which are unapproved during the pandemic because you're literally killing people. So it's the funniest thing to watch. But while I'm at it, let's talk about gaming. So anyhow, everything's moving online. All these gaming events were going to be held online. I mean, Evo did, but it had that whole drama, so I don't even know what's going on with Evo anymore. But there were plenty of other tournaments that were being held online virtually so that people could play these games together with their friends online. And for money, tournament-wise, just like you would normally. So this is where it gets funny. So, Nintendo has an interesting relationship with Smash Bros. Melee. Fans see it as the best Smash game. And then there's the contrarian Nintendo fans whose first console was a Wii, and they say Melee was the worst game ever to be edgy and contrarian, because that's how you can be edgy and contrarian when you're a Nintendo fan. So, what's happened with Smash Melee is you've got a bunch of Melee nerds who decided we're going to hold a tournament online, but Melee doesn't have online. It will never get a re-release at this point that has online. Guess what? They decided to hold it online using Dolphin or an emulator like that, or not even an emulator, just some mod for the game that had like netcode or something. It was this weird setup. I heard it would actually work on a Wii from somebody, but from what I know, it used emulators. And Nintendo catches wind of this, and they are pissed. They send a cease and desist to shut the whole thing down. And this causes backlash in the Nintendo scene. And this is funny, because you got Nintendo fans, and they are like, you got some who believe that Nintendo can do no wrong. They're not going to get that job at Nintendo Power they dreamed of as a kid whatsoever. They're not going to get that sick job working at Nintendo making video games. They're not going to get that, being a Nintendo fanboy. But here's when it gets funny. there are Nintendo fans who aren't total shills. And here's what happened. Some of these Nintendo fans decided, who were like esports players for like the Splatoon 2 event. I think Splatoon's garbage, but a lot of people like it. They decided to set their usernames to anti-Nintendo usernames about free Smash, and Nintendo gets pissed and shuts the stream down because they are pissed that people are actually pissed about their behavior. Like, come on. They can't even release Melee on the Switch. They can't even do that. I mean, look at Microsoft. When they sent the cease and desist order to, like, El Dorito, they actually hired some of those developers and some of the Halo modders to help port Master Chief Collection to PC. A few years later, Halo 3 on PC, officially. It's not that great, but it's Halo 3 on the PC, and that's why people were buying El Dorito. They were playing El Dorito. I meant to say plain El Dorito. They were playing El Dorito because Microsoft wouldn't put Halo 3 on the PC. They finally put Halo 3 on the PC. And you know what Nintendo does? They just sit back and do nothing. Maybe they'll put Melee on the Switch one day. But they didn't put it on the Wii U. They didn't put it on the 3DS or Switch or anything. They haven't done that yet. They've made GameCube controllers and GameCube controller adapters, but they haven't put Melee on the Switch. And if they put Melee on the Switch with good netcode, this could have all been avoided. Both with the emulator thing, which Nintendo is DMCAing the crap out of, even if you legally rip your game, even if you play it on the Wii. Nintendo is DMCAing those people because they want you to do things their way. And that's the thing with these million-dollar game companies, is they want you to do things their way. They want you to play the game the way they designed and balanced it. They want you to play the game their own way, and if you don't like it, tough. And that's the thing with modern games. There's no real... They're just not good. They don't have a community that like stands by the game, that tries to mod it or anything. And when you get those communities, many companies just let it slide because they're old games anyway. Sometimes they embrace them, but Nintendo, they just shut it down. And Nintendo is clearly the worst of all these big gaming companies out there. But people will still defend them because of nostalgia. People will still defend them because deep down inside, they have to have Animal Crossing plushies in their 2003 Kia. They have to have those, along with all their anime stickers and stuff on the car. So, that's the thing. If you defend Nintendo, if you defend a multi-million-dollar gaming corporation, you are not going to get jack squat in return. They'll just send lawyers after you. That's the difference between older games and newer games. Older games, you could mod them, do all this fun stuff. They would look at it and they'd be like, hell yeah, do this. Nintendo, on the other hand, they get their lawyers after you because you're having fun with their games, just not in the way they want you to enjoy them. You have to enjoy Nintendo games in the exact Nintendo-approved manner. Remember that Nintendo YouTube Partner Program? Remember when they were content IDing YouTubers for like showing Nintendo games? Remember when they went after people modding? Remember when they went after Project M, AM2R, after that Pokemon ROM hack? Nintendo doesn't care about you, period. They are bar none the worst modern gaming company out there. And people will only, like, suck up to them because Mario, because Bing Bing Wahoo. Now I gotta get to bed. It's kinda late, but I thought I'd get this out there. Nintendo is not your friend. Nintendo's not your friend. They've never been your friend. I've known this for years on this channel. And nobody listened. Turns out I was right. Nintendo does not care about you. That's all that needs to be said, gamers.